Hello, and welcome to Pretty Much Anything Nerdy, the podcast about nerd culture and the things happening in it. This is episode 5 of the podcast. This week we'll be discussing a few animes and catching up on some recently played games, and then we'll drop into a discussion about the things that turned us into a nerd. And I'm your host, Lake Sprenkle, joined today with my groomsman and co-host, Merrick Legutki.
What's up?
And my best man and our great friend, Mason.
Yo.
So I only do the intro that way because at the time of you guys will be listening to this, I will have been married. At the time of recording, we are like 3 days out from my wedding, and obviously both of these great guys are in my party.
Woo! So excited. I cannot wait.
Let's get it.
But yeah, should be a lot of fun. There'll be a couple nerdy references dropped in throughout the wedding, so just keep an eye out. Some of them will be pretty
Wow.
But yeah, should be a fun time. Any other catching up for you guys? What are you guys up to?
Not so much catching up. There's just, I guess, 2 bits of news that I don't think fit in any of our usual categories. So more like updates than catching up, which I guess is exactly what catching up is now that I think about it. The first one was just about, it's about an hour and a half ago now. MegaCon announced some really big guests that I am super excited for, because MegaCon's the big con that we have here in Florida. And they had been announcing a bunch of movie guests before, which is cool, but it wasn't like anything that I was super stoked for yet. I always think it's really fun meeting voice actors. But they announced the voices of Midoriya, All Might, and Bakugo will be coming to MegaCon this year, so Justin Briner, Chris Abbott, and Clifford Chaplin will all be at MegaCon.
That's awesome.
Super excited for that.
Sick.
Yeah, so that's going to be a really long line to wait in, but I think those are 3 guys that I might...
Yeah, I think I would do that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that
I
might
really...
be worth it.
Yeah, I really want to get...
Especially Clifford. I want to talk to him about other stuff too. I love him as Bakugo. He's one of my favorite characters. But he also directed Darling in the Franxx.
It's funny you say that because that was...
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he directed a couple episodes of My Hero too, and there's actually some really funny outtakes from when he was directing where he made all the different voice actors talk about Bakugo. So I would encourage you guys to check it out on YouTube. Like, there's a funny clip of Todoroki like, man, what would Bakugo do in this situation? But he's doing it like as Todoroki, so it just sounds so out of place and so funny. But that's what I wanted to talk to him about too, was just kind of ask him about, the difference between, directing and anime. Like, that's hard,
That's
getting
cool.
voice actors to do a certain emotion. So that was what I wanted to talk to him about. But yeah, so really excited for that. And then, let's see, anything else? And then another thing that happened like an hour ago. Today was an eventful day. Great day to record our podcast.
Yeah, for real.
The first trailer for the new season of Game of Thrones came out.
Yeah.
Super excited for that.
Dude, it looks insane. I'm not ready. I'm ready, but I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Because, everyone's going to die. Everyone's going to die.
This has been such a big part of our lives for the last, 5,
Yeah, because I
6
remember
years.
we were 20.
Yeah.
Not even legal age to drink, but we caught up from 1 to 3, and then season 4 was coming out literally in 2 weeks. So we caught up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was our Sunday ritual when we were sophomores. Every Sunday we would get Little Caesars and watch as much Game of Thrones as we could, and then at about 10 o'clock be like, oh my gosh, wait, we all have homework.
And then since then, I've probably rewatched it 5 times, getting my cousin into it, my dad, my brother. So I'd have to watch those separate times to get into it with them, and they love it. So it's just a crazy event.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those shows I've tried to get as many people to watch as possible because it's just so great.
Getting someone else into a show is definitely one of the best ways to re-watch a show.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. In Game of Thrones, like I said, I rewatched it a lot. You catch different things that you would not catch the first time
It's
through.
unreal. There's so many little details.
They reference things from season 1 into season 5 and all kinds of stuff.
It's cool. There's so many. But yeah, I'm excited. The first trailer looked really cool. I'm glad it didn't really show us anything.
Who you rooting for? Endgame on the throne.
Endgame on the throne.
Sitting on the throne.
I think
Okay.
I think it ends with Jon on the throne. And I would enjoy that. I like him a lot as a character.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one person that would win the throne, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I think it's been so long since I've thought about who I've been rooting for that
I just want Jaime to stay alive.
Stannis
Stannis
is going to come back. He's going to rule the...
So Stannis is
Yeah,
alive.
Stannis. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. The trailer's pretty cool. We saw some cool shots. The dragons flying over the snow. The end, the Night King's army. We didn't get to see it, but they put the dead horse
I'm glad
down.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. I'm always the opinion that less is more. And so, especially from trailers, I hate nowadays how trailers give away
Way
so
too
much of the movie. Yeah,
That's why I was hoping Avengers didn't put anything out.
and that would have been sweet, but they didn't. Their trailer showed like nothing.
Yeah,
That's
really,
true.
there hasn't been too much. They've been very brief, which is good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the most revealing thing from the trailer was that Hawkeye is in the movie, but I think we all assumed he would be part of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally have like a one trailer rule. I don't watch anything after the first trailer because usually just way too much spoilers after that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been anything even in the second one.
No. Yeah.
I didn't watch the second one.
I don't think I watched the second one either. No, yeah, I did because it came on during the Super Bowl.
Yes, it did.
Oh,
yeah,
I guess so
yeah. The second one didn't show anything.
Yeah,
we saw
I think-
mopey Thor.
We saw Ant-Man knocking at the door.
Yeah, well, I think that's the first one.
No, that's the
right?
first
That's
one.
the
That,
first one.
yeah, I think the only big takeaway from the second one was that you see them all together in the same scene, like most of the survivors.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
They're like
You see them walking
Yeah.
across, which was kind of
in their
interesting.
street clothes.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait. But yeah, as far as catching up, that's all for me. Nothing exciting. Just had the two.
Yeah, and as for me, I've still been playing a lot of Overwatch, trying to grind into gold, and I finally got into gold. Thank the Lord, the monkey
Dude,
is
way to
off
go.
my back. But it's pretty a funny story, like how I got it. It's like I mostly played Bastion, like sit my butt on the point, and
One of
just
those
mow them
guys.
down. But I'm also like, very good with like I go flank them and everything, and they don't know where the Bastion is. But what happened was I had two players with me. I didn't even have a mic. I was like just doing the Bastion
join
hellos and group ups. But they both played Shield Tank, and Reinhardt was covering my back, just in case any Sombras came behind, and Arissa just popped that shield in front of me, and we just rode it to their, 6 straight wins.
That's
It was
awesome.
insane. We
That's
stayed
funny.
together. It was
Guard
so
the
good.
Reinhardt comp.
Yep.
That's killer.
Yeah, that's
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's a great feeling.
I can't wait to get back down to silver in 4 games. But.
Dude, that's you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how I haven't played Overwatch ranked in so long, but the cool thing about I played obviously a lot of League of Legends ranked. But the cool thing about League of Legends ranked was to D-rank. So once you get to gold, the only way you can get back to silver is when your MMR, so your matchmaking rating, matches like silver, like the bottom worst silver player. So like the only way you get demoted is when you match the worst
It was
people.
pretty hard to go
Yeah,
down.
exactly. So I feel you. Last year I finally hit Gold League Legends, and
Nice.
that was like a 4-year journey. So I understand how good that feeling is.
Very cool. Oh, you guys been watching any animes?
Yeah. Let's see. Shield Hero. I've been watching Rising of a Shield Hero. That's been a fun
Dude,
one.
it's so good.
Yeah.
I have not checked this
That one,
out.
like I remember Crunchyroll had put out. I keep track of like their top 10s or whatever.
Yeah.
And as soon as 2019 came out, they posted like a top 10 thing, and Shield Hero was at the very bottom, but it was still like top 10. But it slowly rose up the rankings to like number 1. It's been number 1 since, like it hasn't stopped.
Yeah. I think right now Mob Psycho.
Yeah,
is
since
number
Mob
one.
Psycho.
Yeah. But yeah, Shield Hero's gone up every week. I've really enjoyed it. It wasn't what I was expecting at all,
No.
which was really cool.
It kind of has like that Code Geass feel too. I haven't really watched Code Geass too much, but just like
as far as like the main character's
Yeah,
outlook
like,
on everything.
yeah, they're very like, and there's like kind of politics go into it too.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics that come into this one. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The cast is really likable. The main character is I like it. I think it's one of the more realistic portrayals of a main character. And so to give you the idea, it's like the kind of anime where hi. It's like one of the animes where the main character gets dropped in fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that happens a lot, all kinds of animes. But in this one, just to give you an idea, it's like everything kind of goes wrong for him. And instead of, being still like happy-go-lucky, cheery character, he's very like jaded. Like he realizes the world's corrupt and all that. And he's just not a jerk, but his outlook is very blue.
He's just like not the nicest guy.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Which
but
I kind of like. I mean, we've had this kind of setting where like a guy gets dropped into a fantasy world a lot. That
Yeah.
recently,
It's very
Sword
popular.
Art, Slime. We've had ReZero.
I was just getting ready to talk about ReZero.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a lot of examples.
It's just cool to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, it's very good. I really enjoy it, and Raphtalia is like best girl.
Yeah.
She's the
It's
greatest.
the tail.
No, it's just she's great. She's great.
No, she's a wholesome girl.
Yeah, but no, I'm really enjoying
Well.
it. You got to check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out Shield Hero. You mentioned ReZero as well.
Yeah, I finally finished that. So I mentioned it to you a little earlier. This was like kind of an odd situation. Funimation announced the dub for it last year, and Mason and I binged the first half, and then they said the second half would come in September. Checked in September, and it wasn't there. And then I checked again in December, and then all of the episodes for ReZero were just off. Like, they don't even have 1 through 12 anymore. And then they announced that it was coming February 5th, and it wasn't there either. And there's still, all the episodes are missing. So I don't know what's going on with Funimation's website. But yeah, I finally finished ReZero.
Yeah, it's felt like 3 years for me watching ReZero because I remember, I think it was summer of like 2017 when I was still in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I watched the only 2 subbed episodes were out, and I remember I would watch them with Kittner and Alec online through Discord and everything. We'd match it up, but we watched that like 2 times each. So going back in time with that feels like 6 episodes already.
Yeah.
But then I watched the dub with you. What did we watch up until like
12? We watched the first 12 in one day.
Yeah.
Like, we did nothing that day but watch.
But then I had to
anime.
resort to the sub because I never thought the dub was never coming. I just watched.
I was
watched the
close,
sub.
and then that just happened. And that was the weird thing too. The dub's all done.
Yeah,
Like all the
I
episodes
want to go
are
back
dubbed.
and like watch all the dub.
Yeah, all the episodes are dubbed, but for some reason it's just not on Funimation, so I don't know what's going on. But yeah, finished ReZero. It's really good. I encourage anyone to check it out that likes that. Main character dragged from the real world, dropped into fantasy world.
I don't know. Subaru. What do you think about Subaru?
So I think this is another one where I think it's pretty realistic.
Yeah, that's like how if we got dropped into that situation.
It's easy to get pissed off at him, and yeah, there's times where you're gonna get so mad. I've never been so angry at a main character where I almost stopped watching the show.
Huh.
But he does it, yeah, and like not to give away like too many plot points or anything, but pretty much the premise of the show is he's dropped into this world, and every time he dies, he gets booted back to a certain point.
Has no
so it's like a save point. Yeah, he has no powers. He just keeps so he keeps dying and then booting back. So he keeps trying to change things. But he's slowly losing his mind,
But he has save points. Once he gets to a certain point,
it's a save point, but he doesn't know where the save point is.
Right.
Yep. And so
he'll like wake up, do something, and then realize, oh man, I gotta go back, and just kills himself. Like,
and it's brutal. It's a heartbreaking anime. There's a lot of really sad parts. There's some messed up parts, but it's really good. Highly encourage it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So ReZero, strongly recommend. Very good.
Rem.
Rem.
I'm a Ram guy.
But see, if you do Amelia, Rem, or Ram. I was on the
I'm
Amelia
still
train
Ram.
from like episode like
I'm still Ram.
1.
Yeah.
I know everyone loves Rem, but
oh, dude, Rem's a wholesome girl.
yeah, Rem's great.
That speech, that's like the most
Yeah.
iconic speech.
That is probably one of the most emotional.
She confesses her love to Subaru, and it's implied like she likes him the entire show. But there's just one scene where like she confesses everything about it, and then he just
The whole episode, it's like
denies
20
her.
minutes of just dialogue, which is crazy. Like when you think about it from an anime,
Mhm.
like, but and it's not. And when I say dialogue, I don't mean like it's a very plot heavy episode. I mean it's just the two characters talking to each other, which is nuts because if you think about it, that doesn't happen a lot in anime, and it's just so emotional and.
You don't even realize it's just them talking the whole episode.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh, it like ends and you're like, oh wait, that's it. Like, oh my god,
You're very invested in what's being said, but very good, emotional show. Love it.
Check it out.
You guys been watching anything?
Oh yeah, so we've been talking about kind of the similar genres. We have the drop into a fantasy world genre. We were talking like Shonen, Promise Neverland. We were talking about that. But I've been watching some slice of life lately, and this one's kind of a slice of life. It's called Quintessential Quintuplets.
Okay.
And
Alright.
it's probably not what you're thinking. This is it's kind of a wholesome one. It's pretty funny. So it's about this guy that goes into high school, and he's super smart, like knows his stuff. And he meets these girls in the school individually, different encounters, and they're all like awful encounters except probably one, but she's super dumb. So So he gets a call from his sister saying that he has a tutoring session. He's getting paid a ton of money. His family's super poor, so he has to do it. And he has to like bring this bag back to the one girl he had, an argument with, and they hate him. But then they slowly realize that he comes back to their house and he's their tutor. So he has to tutor all these quintuplets of girls that don't want to even study. And he has to like individually talk to them and get them into like a certain subject and talk to them about it. And it's just it's pretty good.
Quintuplets, that's 5.
Yeah, it's just 5 of them.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, one's like they're all failing their classes still.
Okay, so they're all stupid.
Yeah, they're all dumb as boxer rocks. Maybe some. One of the girls is super into feudal Japan because she played like Empire games. Like she's like.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah, there's just certain things that I would definitely check it out. It's one of the better ones.
Okay, wow, that's some pretty good praise.
Yeah.
2019.
2019.
Yeah, this has just been a very good season of anime.
So much, yeah.
Like I remember 2018 was good, but it was kind of not lacking. I want
to say there was usually like maybe 1, maybe 2 shows that I would check out every season. Yeah. 2018.
There's just lists.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, and I think actually a couple episodes ago I talked about how I don't watch anything week to week. I'm watching I think 5 shows week to week now.
There's so many week to week. Everything I'm watching right now is week to week.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, been a very good season for anime.
All right. What have you guys been playing? Any cool video games going on?
Let's see. I've been playing. Yeah, so we talked about last episode how I finally finished Kingdom Hearts 3. I really was craving like a good JRPG, just a solid 80 hours that I would sink all my time into, and I picked up some game called No Kuni 2. It's a PlayStation exclusive, and I had heard about it because the first game had a lot of hype. Like everyone said, it was one of the best RPGs to come around in a long time for the PS3. And so I was originally going to buy that, and then found out the 2 of them aren't linked at all, so I just bought the second one. But the first one's described a lot as it kind of looks like if Studio Ghibli made a video game, like the art style. Yeah, it's really cool. The art, it's kind of like I don't want to say cartoony graphics, but it's not like, you don't play it for the graphics. Like, it's just kind of a beautiful setting. The music is great in it, and I love, and the gameplay has been killer. There's just so much you can do. So it's kind of, the combat's kind of similar to, like the Tales games. You're dropped in like a little arena. But gameplay wise, it kind of almost feels like Legend of Zelda. Like you can, dodge and stuff. You can use your sword and there's spells. But that's really fun. So it has that kind of combat. Then there's also, you can build your kingdom. So your kingdom grows, like you bring in new residents, and when you bring in residents, they specialize in a certain trade. And then it's up to you to build like the building that they're good at, whether it's like a fisherman's quarry or a blacksmith. So you have to build all these shops, then you can upgrade the shops. And while all this is going on, your kingdom's making money, so you got to bring in the money so you can upgrade your things, make your kingdom bigger. So you're going around trying to find more people to bring in your kingdom. So that part's been surprisingly fun. I find myself doing that in side quests revolving around my kingdom more than the actual game.
Well, that's like the funnest part sometimes of the games, is just doing some things that just build the world and just different things that only have to do with the story. Yeah,
so it's cool because I wasn't expecting that at all. I was just expecting, a nice 40, 50 hour game, but I've sunk a lot of time into that. I actually even changed my PlayStation 4's rest mode. Like, I have it set so that my PlayStation 4 goes in rest mode after 20 minutes of me not doing anything, just to save power. And obviously, if I'm away from my PS4 for 20 minutes, I'm probably not using it. But I changed it to like 2 hours, and I'll just leave my guy sitting in my kingdom so it's making money. So like, I think my PS4 is like just about ready to turn off. I think I left my house at 12 to come record this. But yeah, just so I could get more money so I could make my kingdom bigger. I've been hooked on it. So there's the kingdom building, there's the classic combat that I was mentioning earlier. Then there's also like a little battalion mode where you also, another part of being in the kingdom is you have an army. So you pick 4 different kinds of armies, whether they're axe, sword, lance, bows, magic, and you pick 4 battalions, and they kind of go in a square around you, like the 4 different, kind of a diamond. And then you go across and you fight other armies, and you like can rotate the army. So it's not as gameplay heavy, but it's just another fun thing. Like if you get bored of something, there's
cool.
There's
what is
something
this called
else
for
you can
people
do.
that are listening?
Yeah, it is No Kuni 2. I would strongly encourage everyone to check it out. It's been out a couple years now, so you can get it for pretty cheap. I think I got it a couple weeks ago from GameStop for like $20, and it was the collector's edition. So I got Steelbook and everything. It's killer. Really recommend it.
Cool.
Well, I've been playing so recently on the Switch and PlayStation 4, probably Xbox too, I would assume. Deltarune Chapter 1 came out for free. It's like a demo, but it's the whole Chapter 1. And it's the Undertale sequel. If you ever played Undertale 4, and that just came out, and I played it. It's very different, but there's similarities. Same characters show up sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was fun.
Papyrus.
I played with me and Bern played it, and we finished the Chapter 1 within I think it took us 3 hours, but with nonstop. It was like so fun. They actually changed it from a style of usually in Undertale it was a box and different things would try to come at your heart and
you had to
use
dodge
the heart to
yeah,
evade
for the combat.
So there's still that sometimes, but it's more of a Final Fantasy like turnstile RPG kind of
turn-based,
thing now. Turn-based thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the story is really cool. Sans comes up, and as soon as I saw him, like Sans, yes.
That's funny.
It's like he's a cameo, but that's how much I like Undertale. Is that just seeing one of the characters, I was so psyched.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Have they said how many chapters it's supposed to be?
No, but I know 4 or 3 have come out. It's just coming out in bulks, I guess.
Okay. Well, if 3 or 4 are out now, and the first one took you 3 hours, it's pretty good length.
Yeah,
It's a good amount of content.
After we were done that, me and Bern decided to do our friend Bern decided to do a genocide playthrough of the Undertale.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, you have to just defeat every enemy that there is, and they have different quotas to defeat.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just super hard. I remember one boss, Undyne. She's medium difficulty in the regular playthroughs and pacifist playthroughs, but in this playthrough, she was almost impossible. I think we did 40 takes to try to beat her.
Holy cow. For people that don't know, in Undertale, you do not have to kill everything.
Yeah, there's 3 playthroughs. So there's your regular playthrough. You go through, and no matter what you do, you'll get this one ending. And there's different interactions, whatever. And then there's a pacifist playthrough. You definitely want to do the pacifist before the genocide run, because once you do a genocide run, you can't go back to doing a pacifist one. So it's kind of funny doing it that way. Huh. But I definitely noticed the dialogue. People talk to you different in this playthrough as well, because they're very on edge. They don't talk to you very much.
Huh, that's pretty cool. But so for the people that don't know, you don't actually have to fight everything. You can
you can
make peace.
Yeah, you can make peace with any enemy.
Yeah, so you can go through the whole game without fighting anything.
Boss.
Yeah. But Undertale's a pretty cool one. I haven't played through the whole thing, but I liked what I did play through.
I played through a little bit. It was definitely a pretty interesting game. I would like to go back through and finish it at some point.
Yeah.
Would recommend.
Me too. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just a cool throwback. For people that don't know, it has the look of a old school
It's like an
game.
8-bit game.
Yeah, 8-bit.
And the music is intense. I love the music.
The music's really good.
The soundtrack is so good.
Yeah.
Undertale, Toby Fox made it. Apparently he was a music production major or something. That's pretty cool. And he just made every song. It's really good.
Yeah. So strongly encourage people to check it out.
Yeah. So something that actually all 3 of us have been into recently is we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons together, and I just recently joined their current campaign.
The party.
Yeah, the party.
The Gorgonites.
It's pretty cool.
It's so funny. I remember how I got into it. Merrick got me into it, but it so happened. I knew that they've been playing. They played a whole campaign before this current one that we're doing.
Yeah, we had played one shots. We did 2 separate one shot, so we had played probably 3 or 4 times. Yeah,
and then Merrick said, "Oh, why don't you join?" And a couple of people I usually hang out with as well as Merrick weren't in town, so I'm like, "Oh, I got nothing to do. Heck yeah, I'll join." But I'm like, "What character should I be?" So I picked an anime girl, of course, as my character in the party, Akami, little monk sword girl.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that the campaign lasts months, actual almost a year.
Months? Well, we've been playing for a year.
Because I remember I played that one. It was fun. I was like, "Oh yeah, that was fun." But then Sam or our DM Sam added me to a party, and he's like, "Oh, can't wait to see you next week." And I was like, "Next week? Oh no, I'm in this. I'm in the end game now."
I looped you in. I suckered you in. Yeah. We haven't played for, I want to say, almost a year exactly now.
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah, but it's really fun. We happily added Lake recently.
Yeah, so I've actually only played twice so far, but it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, you almost didn't get added to the party. We almost left you. For our listeners, Lake is a... What are you officially?
I'm a treant.
You're a treant, okay.
It's a giant tree.
Yeah, so in our campaign, our party, so our group of people aren't the best people. I think we're all kind of chaotic in alignment.
Oh, I'm definitely chaotic.
Yeah, and we were walking through, and there was something in a cage that kids and villagers were just poking. And usually our crew is the type that would join the poking, and I don't know what it was.
I remember we saw the cage up there, and Sam was like, "Oh, what do you want to do with it?" And I'm like, "Well, these little kids are getting like nerves, so I'm legit gonna release this monster and just see what happens."
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. So we weren't even thinking of the monster that was in the cage. We were thinking of just unleashing.
we didn't even know it was
mayhem.
Lake. I thought
Yeah.
I was ready to open that cage and just let it wreak havoc.
Yep. Yeah. And so we open the cage, and out pops. And then our DM goes, and Lake joins the party. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Dude,
Yep.
it was such a good introduction. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, that's Lake."
Yeah. So we were really close to not having Lake be a part of our party, but we're happy that you've joined.
Yeah, I almost burned in that cage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your character's name again?
Treechan.
No, what is its real name?
I really,
It
I
was
ended up
something-
naming it Treechan.
Oh wow!
No, it did not have a name.
I didn't have like a name picked out.
Yeah, so Mason, being the little anime girl that he is in our campaign, he called this giant tree person Treechan over and over and over, and then Lake was just like, all right.
Yeah,
And then
so I didn't really
guess
have a
that
name
stuck.
picked out for it.
Yeah.
Treechan.
Yep. So Lake's part of our D&D campaign. We play almost every week. More like every
it's
other
sporadic,
week. Yeah.
but
Yeah, but it's been fun. We've been playing, like I said, about a year now. I was looking through, it looks like we started in April last year, so we've been playing about
wow,
11 months.
that's intense.
Isn't it cool
It's
to
cool,
think
though.
about? Yeah.
Huh.
And it's just neat. It's really fun for anyone creative that has a group of friends. I know D&D kind of has a stigma to it because of how some people looked at it, but if you have a crew of friends that are all creative, I highly encourage playing it. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
it's
It's as
super
fun as
fun.
you make it.
Yeah, literally, you can do anything. Like, I love just messing. Most of the time, we spend probably an hour just in a bar, like, wreaking havoc.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the most fun is when we're not following our campaign
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just kind of cool hanging out with your friends and like solving puzzles, basically.
Yeah.
Figuring out, oh, what's this enemy's weakness? How do we work together, or how do we not work together?
Yeah. You can be as creative as you want, which is really fun.
They give you the tools to be your own boss.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, D&D has been really fun. I'm excited that you're part of it. I think our campaign's goal is we're trying to kill these 8 mythical beasts.
Like, think Naruto, Tailed Beast.
Yeah,
but, like,
pretty much think that, like the tailed
Oh,
beast.
yeah.
And I think we're about halfway done now.
And what's funny is the first boss that we had was called a Gorgon. And they were like, "Oh, what should we name your party?" And I was like,
we were leading a prison break when this happened, and a
Yeah.
bunch of prisoners were like, "What are you guys called?"
and the whole week I'm like, "Guys, I just watched Small Soldier, the old 90s movie." So I'm like, "We're the Gorgonites. Come on, guys."
Yeah,
And
so
it just stuck.
yeah, so now we're the Gorgonites. Thanks, Small Soldiers.
Yeah. Good movie, though.
Phenomenal movie. I love it.
Pretty fun. But that's going to bring us into our main topic this week, which is what turned you into a nerd. So we're going to be having a talk about some of the old things that brought us here today, basically. So who would like to start?
I think the earliest influence that I can think of, and something that kind of seems off the wall that you wouldn't really associate with being a nerd, was I think my first one was Jurassic Park. Actually, like all kids love dinosaurs, but like I was obsessed with dinosaurs. We're the point where my grandma said when I was a kid, like I was saying like some of the Latin names.
Dude, I was too.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I'm the same with you. I was
Yeah.
a dinosaur. I went literally kindergarten. They asked, "What do you guys want to be?" I said paleontologist. I want to be a paleontologist.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wanted to be a paleontologist
nuts. We
too.
both
Yeah,
did that.
or archeologist. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I
That's
think because
dope.
I
That's a
really
good-
liked
yeah.
Indiana Jones too. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite movies growing up. But yeah, so the reason I listed Jurassic Park was that kind of spiraled me into being so obsessed with science and stuff. I wanted to be a scientist when I was a kid, which in turn, I'll talk about Marvel later, but which in turn made me really like Spider-Man because he was just a nerdy kid turned into a superhero. So yeah, so Jurassic Park I think is one of the earliest influences that I could think of.
Yeah, so this was a great one. I hadn't even thought of it until I saw it on your list, which was dumb because that's my favorite movie, the first one.
Yeah.
And also, if you've never read the book, check the book out. It's a little bit different from the movie, but also really good, especially if you're into like the science and stuff behind it, which I am, because I was a biology major. While it's obviously not completely truthful and there is some sci-fi to it, there is also some truth behind the science and what they're doing in it. So it's always kind of cool to think that maybe someone could do what they did in the movie.
It's kind of cool to think about. Also kind of scary. Like,
Well, I know that there was some like Australian billionaire that was trying to do it. Like he
Yeah,
was trying to
this
do
was a couple
exactly
years
what-
ago.
Exactly what.
Yeah,
that
it
Spark
was like
trying to do.
hiring scientists, and
Yeah.
finally someone like stepped in and said, we don't think that's ethical.
yeah, that's a whole nother thing, the ethics behind it and everything.
Like they've been gone for millions and millions of years, sometimes trillions.
Yeah.
It'd be weird to bring it back.
Yeah.
It all has to do with like genetic
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another thing
experimentation
too.
and stuff. Too.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things. Doesn't it say that like they wouldn't even be able to survive in the
Yeah,
atmosphere
because
we
the
have
O2
nowadays?
back then was very different.
Yeah.
And the plants, they wouldn't be able to eat anything.
Science.
Yeah.
But yeah, so science.
Science.
That's why Jurassic Park is one of my earliest influences.
But yeah,
That's a good
that was
one.
an awesome one. I agree. I was pretty much the same way with you guys. I was super into it. And I actually remember when I was pretty young, I went to visit my aunt in Chicago. And at the time, they had the Sue exhibit in the Chicago Museum. I forget what the name of it is. But if you don't know, that's like the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton there is.
Oh, wow.
I just remember being like in awe about it. I'm pretty sure on one of these boards I have a pin
Oh, that's awesome.
from that museum. But yeah, that was a good one. Obviously, I won't talk about this too much because we did just hit a full episode on this exact topic. But Pokemon.
That's one of my. I think that's my first encounter with anything of like that culture. Is like, I remember my grandmother bought me, red, blue, and yellow, not knowing that they're all pretty much the same game. But I played yellow first, and it was just one of my favorite ones of like games I've ever played. Still, I remember I was way too young to be playing these games too. Like I'll be short about it, but I remember I thought it was like the show where if I press sand attack enough, I'd bury my opponent. And like press like string enough on Caterpie, like I would just tangle my opponent. And I was so frustrated to know why they kept attacking me or missing.
That's so funny. That was one of my biggest gripes with the games was I thought Double Team looked so cool in the show.
And it was just
yeah.
it's not useless, but
Yeah, it's not useless, but when you're a kid, it's useless.
I also thought that going to the Pokemon Center and mashing A 100 times would make my Pokemon stronger.
You were an interesting little kid.
Yeah. Well, I was like 2.
I was
3
gonna
at
say,
the
if you
time.
can't read and you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, what's
I know
this
how to
do?
read, but
You read
You
at
said
2?
two.
Yeah. You could read at 2 years old.
2.5 maybe, yeah.
I was the first kid in my class in kindergarten to learn how to read. You are a prodigy if you were reading
I
at
was
2.
reading then, dude.
Oh
That's
my
serious.
gosh.
Wow. I just assumed everyone read that early.
No. Yeah, that's unreal. But
Well,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, not to divulge off of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Pokemon. I would definitely say Dragon Ball Z back in the day on Toonami definitely got into a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dragon Ball was kind of the snowball for me too.
Yeah, because I remember I watched Z first.
Yeah.
It was
No,
on-
I think I was one of the like rare instances where I actually watched Dragon Ball first.
But I did watch Dragon Ball like around the same time because it
Yeah.
was like I think it was either before or after. I'm pretty sure it was like after. It came late night.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I would watch that and then Yu Yu Hakusho and then like it was like week to week too. You had to literally like ask your parents, hey, are we going out that night because I want to watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, nope, sorry, we're going to dinner. So I have to like ask my friend what happened. Like,
Yeah.
Record it on the VCR.
yeah.
It's cool. I was reading something on Reddit, or I was talking about how a lot of people didn't realize how young they were when they started watching anime, because Dragon Ball Z,
Right.
a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it was one of my favorite cartoons, obviously an anime.
Right. Well, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, both ones that released basically right when we
Still
were
going.
at that age.
Yeah, they are both still
But
going. That's
a lot of
unreal.
people's first animes.
And what's funny
whether or
is
not you know it.
those like even for like my age, I was probably 4. I think it aired on Toonami on like 1998. But it was a violent show. But like my mom saw Captain Ginyu, Krillin, and Gohan just going at it. And my mom was like, you should be watching this show. It's violent. And my dad's sitting right next to me. She leaves the room and goes, it's pretty cool. You can keep watching.
It's pretty cool.
That's really funny. Going off of your mention of it being violent and being allowed to watch it still, The reason that was never a problem for me was on my 5th birthday, I got my first gaming system, Sega Genesis, and my first video game. So I was 5 years old, and my first video game was Mortal Kombat. Which was like super controversial back then, like rated M, like it was huge. And I mean, I'm pretty sure my dad got it for himself to play. But yeah, that was my first video game, and I loved it. And so obviously, if you're getting Mortal Kombat at 5 years old, you know, your parents' sense of what should be censored and whatnot is kind of skewed while you're growowing up. So Dragon Ball Z wasn't an issue. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't run around uppercutting people till their skulls pop off or anything. Every now and then, if I get really mad.
I see Merrick in the alleyway just beating up hobos or something.
Yeah, get over here. But yeah, so that was my first video game. So that was on my list. I had to bring that up because video games are such a huge part of my life now. So it's pretty funny to think the game that kicks
I think I remember the first video game I ever played. My new uncle, my dad's sister had just got married, and he had to babysit me because all my parents were working at the time. And he had this little like closet-sized room, and he's like, "Here you go, kid. Here's the PlayStation. Go at it all day." And it was Spyro. It had just come out around that time, and I played it, and I think I got through like half the story, and then my parents came, and I begged them like that night, please pick me up this game. I have to finish it and play Spyro, and it was just they got it for me, and it was just like an awesome experience playing through Spyro the first time.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's honestly not a franchise that I'm super familiar with.
No, it just got remastered too.
I saw that.
I got that the first night it came out. I remember midnight hit, I didn't even realize it, and I saw it on the PlayStation Store. I'm like, oh my god, it's there! And so like I immediately downloaded, put it in the rest mode to download, and I beat it within like, say, a week.
Yeah.
All 3 games.
I played the second one.
The second one's like the best one.
Yeah, but I didn't have a memory card when I was a kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you just leave it on?
No, my mom wouldn't let me. She would come in and turn it off.
Oh.
So yeah, I would just see how far I could get in one sitting, and then it would be gone. Yeah, I never beat it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't have a memory card for my PlayStation. It wasn't a big deal for the Nintendo 64 because a lot of the earlier games saved on the cartridge.
Yeah. So the Nintendo 64 was my first full console. I did have a Game Boy. I don't remember what games I had for it other than probably Pokemon. But I remember getting it for Christmas and honestly being like, what is this thing?
That funky controller.
Yeah, I was like, what does this do? What is this? And it came with Mario 64. I just remember being like, oh, what is this? Like, I hadn't played a Mario game before then.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had no concept of any of this, but I was instantly hooked on it. I still play Mario 64. I have the emulator on my computer, and it's one that I love to hop on and just, jump into through a few paintings every once in a while.
Yeah. That's
I never had a 64. I had the SNES. My parents had the SNES before I was even born. I think maybe it's like the year I was born.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
But that only had like Mortal Kombat, Tetris, and like the old school Mario's on it. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't able to play like those 3D games that were on the 64.
Yeah, I remember I had Mario on the SNES and a Star Wars game. I like vividly remember the Star Wars game. Yeah.
You're talking about.
But the Nintendo 64 I feel like that was one of the most commonly owned systems up until the 360 came out.
People are still playing like Smash on the 64.
Like everyone had a 64 that you talked to. So that's pretty cool that you didn't have one.
I did not have one.
And a lot of those games, most of those games have been remastered at this point now by Nintendo or other, which is pretty cool. Obviously, we got 2 of the best Legend of Zelda games out of that.
Yep.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, there's so many great games.
GoldenEye. I played GoldenEye over at my friend's house, and I was like, I remember they would split to like the 4 screens.
Hope they didn't pick Odd Job.
They did.
Oh my gosh.
This kid Steven always picked him. I'm like, how come I can't
Everyone knows that Steven picks Odd Job. Steven.
If you're listening and your name's Steven, I know you picked Odd Job.
But yeah, GoldenEye was there were so many great games you mentioned. Super Mario 64. Ocarina of Time's considered one of the greatest games of all time.
Kind of revolutionary games too, because you said Mario Kart. Yeah. And I feel like there's been like a kart game in almost any genre. Because I remember Crash Bandicoot Racing came out after Mario Kart. That was a great game. And there's a Disney version too, if you guys remember.
Pretty much every series has a racing game now, and a lot of it is due to how popular Mario Kart was. I remember I had a a Star Wars game that was just like Mario Kart, but they were
It
all
was
like
for the
PlayStation
PlayStation 2.
2.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They had the big heads.
the little big heads. Yeah,
head.
exactly. Like they look like
Bombad
chibis.
Racing. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Star Wars Bombad Racing.
Yeah, so
That's funny.
Yeah, so the 64 did kick off a lot of. I feel like that really took gaming to the next level because everything before was 2D.
Yeah,
And
it really was one of the first games with higher capabilities,
3D was
allowing
mind-blowing.
people to have the 3D.
Yep. It's funny. It's so crazy how far video games have come.
I just remember my dad through like every console that I've owned. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe how far video game cutscenes have been. And just going back to seeing what he was talking about, those cutscenes, they look terrible now compared.
Yep.
But at the time, he was like amazed because he was playing Pong back in the day.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was just getting ready to say, like, I remember playing the original Halo on the Xbox and thinking, there is no way graphics will ever get better than this.
That just makes you think how good, like, out of 10 years maybe from now, they'll even be.
Yeah, I know. It's already, like, unbelievable graphics nowadays.
I know. Talking about Halo, I had played the first and second one a little bit, but when it comes to, like, really gaming and multiplayer gaming, Halo 3 was the one that hit that off for me. I had begged for an Xbox 360 for Christmas one year, and I ended up getting the green and gold Master Chief one and Halo 3, and I remember playing that nonstop for like months. That's all I wanted to do was play that. But that was the game that really, like, I was like, oh man, I gotta check out what this Xbox Live is. And at that time, like, I wasn't paying for it. It was, oh man, 48-hour code here, 48-hour code here, a month free here.
You'd, like, go visit a friend, like, steal his code from inside one of his game cases.
Yep.
Yeah, Halo 3 is part of what I think's, like, the golden age of online gaming. There was that, Modern Warfare 2, like, those came out at the same time. Or around the same time, I shouldn't say the same time. Around the same time, and, yeah, Halo 3 was just so much fun. Some of my favorite memories growing up was just playing Halo 3 with all my friends. Like, whether it was, you playing through co-op, I think Halo 3 has one of the best co-op shooting campaigns.
Oh, absolutely.
I really can't think of something that tops it. The campaign's super fun. The online matchmaking was killer. Like,
yeah, and this was one of the first games that invented the sandbox mode, so they called it Forge mode in this.
I was just getting ready to talk
and
about
like,
that.
if you were good at the Forge mode in Halo 3, like, you could do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, as creative as you could be. So my friends, Colin and Cody and a bunch of us, we played this game called, it was like Sheriff or something like that. So one guy would be like the Arbiter, an elite, and everyone else was a Spartan, and we had made a complete jail cell.
You start in the jail cell,
Yeah, you start
and
in
there's
the
ways
jail.
to escape.
Yeah. And so it was, you had to escape, but then the one guy that played the warden would chase you down, and our friend Cody would get super into it. Like, he would make us, like, line up and, like, crouch and, like, walk back to the cells if he caught us, and he would, like, kill someone in front of everyone, like, just headshot with a shotgun. And I just remember crying from laughing playing that game. Yeah, it was as creative as you wanted to be. Yeah, Halo 3 is such a good one. That's such a great thing to bring up. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
That was fun.
I remember another, my uncle, he had a ton of DC comics that he brought over one day and was like, hey, these are my old ones, you can have them. And that's when, like, I got into. I'm a big DC guy. Of course, the movies are not nearly as good as Marvel. But I do think the comics, I like the comics a lot more than Marvel. But I was just got really, like, I remember, like, the Joker, there was, like a Joker series of comics that were just the Joker, and I got really into it. And I kind of liked villains a lot more than the heroes in DC. I think that's translated over to, like, anything, because even in Marvel, I like the villains.
Mm-hmm.
But DC comics definitely were a reason I got into like comics in general.
Yeah, I was a little, I don't want to say biased. I'm definitely biased now. I'm such a huge fan of Marvel, and Marvel I could talk about forever.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest reason I'm the nerd that I am today. But yeah, growing up, I had an uncle who collected a ton of Marvel comics, and the first comic I got was a gigantic like collection of Spider-Man comics. And so that was my first comic. I mentioned earlier, Jurassic Park led me to science, then read about Spider-Man, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's a nerdy kid becomes a superhero. So Spider-Man was like my hero when I was younger. And yeah, so I read as many Marvel comics as I could. I didn't get a whole lot of them, but that kind of kickstarted how much I liked Marvel. And then the Marvel movies happened, and it's been unreal. I saw the first Iron Man in the theaters with my grandma, my Mimi, when the first one came out more than 11 years ago now, right? Yeah, because last year was the 10-year anniversary. So 11 years ago, I saw it with my grandma, and to this day, I will not see a Marvel movie without her. So I have to avoid spoilers nowadays, like, because we live in different cities. So like last year when Endgame came out, everyone saw it. Yeah, I think I had to wait like a month and a half before I saw it.
Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War, not Endgame. Yeah.
How did you not get spoiled?
So fun fact, it actually got spoiled for me the night before I saw it on Facebook.
Mine got spoiled the instant I was walking in the theater.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I checked Twitter and someone just says, "I don't feel good, Mr. Stark," and I'm like, well, he's the only guy that calls him Mr. Stark, so obviously Spider-Man's not making it out of this movie.
That sucks.
Yeah, I had seen a bunch of the memes where like that people like fade away, but I had never seen the specific words "I don't feel good, Mr. Stark," and I had no clue that was related to Avengers until after I saw the movie. I thought it was just some weird meme people were coming up with, like people fading away, like ha, so funny. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. So I had no clue, but yeah, Marvel's just been a huge part of my life.
Yeah, so honestly, it wasn't until Guardians that I really picked up the Marvel. Like, I had seen Iron Man and, like, basically most of the movies leading up, but I was not really that into the whole story until Guardians came out.
No, Guardians brought a whole new, like, group into it. Because I remember it was only Iron Man, Thor, and...
We had just had the first Avengers, I believe.
Yeah, and Avengers. And they were good. They're good characters. But I would say, like, some of the Thor movies are probably a little staler than most.
They're dry.
They're very dry. And I don't think a lot of, like, the younger generation really got into it because they weren't the most popular characters, like, popular at the time. Like, Iron Man's huge now, but Iron Man and Thor were not the most popular. Like, Spider-Man was. But as soon as Guardians came out, they weren't even popular either. But I just feel like they were very, like, well-written movies, and the music brought people in. So
yeah.
I would say it brought a different group in.
Yeah, kind of another cool Marvel comics story. So this was actually only a few years ago. I was going through like some of my dad's old stuff, and I found a old bag of comics. And I guess what it was at the time, it was like older comics that whatever, nickel and dime store just had it on the shelf. They would put them into a bag, and it was like, a couple cents, and you get this whole bag of comics. And it was just like random whatever was in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Some comic shops still do that now. I believe the one down the street, you can still sometimes
you can
find
get like 5
like
comics
that.
for like a quarter.
But I was like, let's go through, check these out, see if there's anything cool in it. One of the ones I found was the first She-Hulk comic. Wow. Like first edition, first appearance. Cool. Which I thought was really cool. Yeah, like it was like a genuine like collector's, and like the condition was only okay on it, but it was really cool to find like an original like that.
Dude, imagine finding a Spider-Man 1.
Right, yeah.
Like hit a gold mine.
Yeah, you'd be set. But yeah, there's so many different. Marvel's done such a good job building their brand. Yeah. And you mentioned Marvel has the edge over DC, like, movie-wise now, and that wasn't always the way, because,
the Batmans were, like, one of the first superhero
The Dark Knight
films.
trilogy was...
Not even the Dark Knight, I'm talking Michael
Keaton. Oh, yeah, you're talking about, those...
There was nothing before then.
I mean, even before that, DC had the Superman movies, there was the Batman show. DC had... kind of the stranglehold on all of it for a while.
They definitely, a lot of the old DCs, you go back and watch them, man, they're corny. The sets, they look like they said, all right, let's just take what's in this comic and just put it out there.
That was just the style, back in the day. That was just, what everyone, it was a lot more family-friendly stuff.
Yeah.
That was the way.
And we got the Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, all the ice puns.
Yeah. But then I think Spider-Man came out after that.
Spider-Man came out around 2001, the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Yeah, that was like one of the first.
Marvel ones. That was big.
Yeah, it was. I remember having to beg my mom letting me stay out past my bedtime because some of my friends were going to go see it, and they said they would take me, and I had to beg my mom. And then I remember I didn't have the key to get into my house or something like that, or they dropped me off on the wrong side and I had to jump a fence to get home. Yeah, it's a very distinct memory. Very weird, but and so like I was saying, the DC had kind of the stranglehold in the movies for a while. I still think to this day, I go back and forth between Dark Knight and Winter Soldier for the best superhero movie I've ever seen.
I'd have to say Dark Knight for me. It was just too good.
Yeah, it's probably Dark Knight.
It's kind of DC dropped the ball on not adding that to their universe. Kind of like.
Well, it was hard.
It definitely was hard.
Everyone. It's easy for us to talk about now, but like in hindsight, no one thought Marvel would be able to pull this off.
What they did, yeah.
Like the first Avengers was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Like no one thought it would be good. No, like everyone kind of doubted, especially with the way the first Thor and the first Captain America were kind of received. It's easy. Everyone talks about how bad, the first two Thor movies were, but the first Captain America, like, I love it now.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I've always liked that one, but it wasn't received
at first
that well.
At first when it came out, it just, I don't know. I remember thinking I didn't like it very much, and then a couple years ago, I rewatched all the Marvel movies in order before Age of Ultron came out, and rewatching the first Captain America, I was like, wow, this is like one of the better origin stories. It is so good. And it's just the Marvel movies are great.
And it's funny. I was just thinking of other movies superhero movies that came out. We totally forget about the Fantastic Four movies because Chris Evans was Johnny Storm. Yeah. Our Captain America now was that dude that was snapping his finger for the flame
for the ladies, and that is so funny. I'm excited. I really am interested to see how they bring the Fantastic Four into.
I think they're gonna slip him into a movie. Like someone else's movie.
Yeah, so if you guys have ever watched the comics, the Fantastic Four, like as their characters, are very much more of supporting characters. Yeah. They pop up in a lot of different stories and different other characters' stories.
Yeah, they're very integral to a lot of stories.
So their origin story is probably gonna be very different because they were one of the first.
I don't think they'll get an origin movie.
Yeah, I think they'll handle it like the way
because there's already been too many bad Fantastic Four movies.
There's no point in saying the origin story. Everyone kind of knows
it's the same story. Yeah, it's not really going to change.
Just bring in the characters.
And just not just the Fantastic Four, X-Men. Like I think that's more attainable now than Fantastic Four coming in. Maybe they're already talking about casting Wolverine. It's not going to be
so hard. Hugh Jackman. So we could do a whole episode on Marvel. So we've been digressing. I'm going to move on to the next big nerd thing. That is going to be a huge impact for all of us. It's Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, this is huge.
Yeah.
Which was funny because really the first three were even before our time.
Yeah.
And they still had a pretty big impact. Do you guys remember when they announced that they were going back and making episode 1?
Yeah, I was freaking out when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I saw all 3 in theaters. I'm sure you guys did as well.
I actually didn't see Phantom Menace in theaters. I remember I was in Florida at the time, I think. When I came back, I had caught it when it came out on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my dad showing me the VHS of the old Star Wars, and I was just all about it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people watched like the Disney movies when we were kids, and I watched a couple of them. But when I was a kid, I just watched the original Star Wars and Indiana Jones on loop. Like those 6 movies were what I would.
I think I've watched the original trilogy of Star Wars over 100 times. I wouldn't even doubt it.
If my grandma kept track, I'm sure I'm pretty close. But Star Wars is just great. Between the movies, my favorite video game of all time is a Star Wars game.
I collected a lot of action figures too.
Yeah, don't get me started on the Star Wars toys. Yeah.
Do you guys, so this was probably the best thing to come out of the Clone Wars. Do you guys remember how cool the Clone Wars Lego sets were? And you guys you would get all these different colored, like, helmeted clones.
Yeah.
What Clone Wars are you talking about? Like, the Attack of the Clones? Or, like...
The Attack of the Clones. Is
oh, okay, yeah. Like without a doubt. Yeah, I remember the Lego Droidekas, dude. I was fixated on droids. I loved the design.
And they folded up and everything.
Yeah. That was because I remember Battlefront 2, I'd only play in Battlefront, the original Star Wars PS2 games.
Oh, about a great, older game
I only played as the set for Separatists. Nothing else. I was locking that in.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 really was a gem. Like, sadly, the new Battlefront games not even close.
They've added new characters, but it's not close. All they needed to do was copy the other games and make it.
They could have just remastered it.
Yeah, they could have remastered for sure. It. It would have easily outsold a lot of things.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that they were doing a remastery now, though.
I would love for them to do so. I don't know if they were.
Look, I thought it was something that like Disney was picking up or something. I could be completely out of left field here, but I thought I remember hearing something about that.
EA's stuck with it. EA's going to have the license for a while, but one thing to look forward to. I brought it up last episode. Respawn is making a Star Wars game,
I
so
was gonna
hopefully that
say, I
is
thought
good.
we just talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it last episode. I want to say it was last episode, but yeah, we're supposed to be getting more information for that at the end of April. I saw they're going to some event, and they promised to have like footage or some information about the game. So I'm really excited for that because it's been way too long since we've had a good Star Wars game, which blows my mind. Because if I was Disney, the way I would handle it is to just reach out to certain studios, like, here, big Star Wars game about this.
Right.
Well, because like Star Wars games were elite back in the day. I remember Bounty Hunter being awesome. I played so much Star Wars Bounty Hunter. The first PS2 game I had was Naboo Starfighter, and that was awesome. The story was great, and there was just pod racing. There's a regular pod racing game that were just awesome. Like all the games that came out with Lucas, like what were they called?
LucasArts.
LucasArts.
Yeah.
Every game that came out of LucasArts had like so much like. You could tell the lore was into it, the story.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that if they were to play, if I'd recommend one game for people to play before they die, it's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. If they love Star Wars, I think it's the best Star Wars story. There's so much lore behind it. It takes place, I think, 2,000 years before the movies. And so it's like, there's a ton of Sith, there's a ton of Jedi. It's just such a cool set. You get to go to all these different planets.
I've never played it, but I've heard.
I haven't either.
Man, I think I owned it on the original Xbox, on my PC. I had it on my PC when I was a kid, which was like taboo. My parents didn't let me buy anything for the PC. I have it on my iPad now, and I have it in Steam. Like I've probably bought it like 4 or 5 times, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, I've probably played through that game. It's that or Fire Emblem that I've played through the most. But yeah,
if Disney's smart, I know they said they're done with the Skywalker, trilogy, storyline. They should go back thousands of years and do like the old Republic.
The Old Republic. There's just so much.
Mandalores versus Jedi. I want all of that.
Yeah, that was another cool thing. Like in Knights of the Old Republic 2, you get to go to or you go to like a moon that all the Mandalorians are at, and you get to like interact with them, and it's just so cool.
I remember, dude, growing up, Star Wars has so much lore, which kind of is like my gripe with the new ones. They're still coming out, and I hope they come out with more lore after the fact.
Yeah.
But I knew everything about anything. That little monkey that would, like, ha ha ha, like right next to Jabba, that dude's name was Salacious Crumb, and that is true. They had a 10-page backstory on that little monkey.
Yep.
And you knew everything. And that's like, there's different things. It's because when was the last one of the original trilogy came out? Like 1983? 80-something?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, no, it might have been early 80s.
Because I think Empire came out 81. I think Return came out 83. But think about that. From 83...
83 was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, 83 from 1999, they let the fans and different writers go at it because they didn't think another one was coming out ever. So they just expanded on the lore.
Oh, yeah, and there's so many books. Like, you can go to any bookstore now.
The books are
and
so
shelves.
good, too. I remember one of the first Star Wars books I ever read was The Glove of Vader. And it was totally out there, but it was so interesting because it, like, took place, like, some dude found Darth Vader's glove and felt powers of it. It was just so weird.
It's funny, like, as we're talking about all this now, it kind of makes me realize, because I've been kind of the same, like, a little harsh on the newer movies, but, like, us talking all out now, they did have, like, 20 years to flesh out all that stuff. And, I mean, it's only been, let's see, when did A New Hope come out? Like,
2077? Are you even New Hope?
I'm sorry, not A New Hope.
A New Hope was 77.
Yeah, A New Hope was 77. Yeah, so thanks. So 77 to when we were...
What is that?
The Force Awakens. Yeah, The Force Awakens came out in, not too long
15.
ago. Yeah, 15. So, yeah, they've had not even 4 years because 2019 just started. So they definitely have time.
Oh, yeah. But I would also say with the prequel trilogy, they definitely did a better job, too, with that.
Yeah, fleshing it out and stuff.
Because they have, like, books coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, yeah, you're right.
I remember I had, like, Grievous's backstory in a book came out.
When Disney bought Lucasfilm, or, the rights to Star Wars, they none of that's canon anymore.
It's called, old, oh, God, it's called a certain...
There's a certain phrase for it. But, yeah, none of the books or anything are canon. Yeah, so I wonder if Disney's gonna... fill out a lot of the backstory. I didn't even think about that until we just brought it up.
It's not canon.
Yeah, not canon. Everyone still holds it canon.
They call it something. I think it's called like the old history or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're actually right. I believe it is.
Which is a cool phrase.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's very like Star Wars sounding.
Dude, if you, I remember before Force Awakens came out, there was skepticism on whether those kind of books were going to be the story, because there was just so many different things. There was like there was solo children, not just Kylo. It was like Jason, Anakin, Ben.
Yep.
Which is funny because Ben Solo is Kylo Ren's name now.
Yeah. So it was cool that
It was just cool.
brought that in.
Yeah. Luke had a wife.
Mary Jane, right? Yeah. Star Wars. Big reason I'm a nerd.
Another thing that we've kind of bounced around, obviously, talking about Star Wars, a name that we've thrown around a couple times, Disney, too. Oh, yeah. I was obviously was and still am a huge Disney fan, and I remember loving the movies. I had a ton of them on VHS. Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, both two of my favorites when I was younger.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I watched Lion King, and as soon as it was done, I would literally tell them, rewind.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine. That's because kids are just like that now, watching Frozen, 20 times a day.
No, yeah, that's the thing.
It's like that as a kid.
Kids are always like that. Yeah, I remember Hercules and Lion King being my two favorite when I was younger.
Do
you guys remember the very distinct cases that the Disney movies came in?
Like the
white plastic.
The white bordered cases.
Yeah.
I still have those.
That's awesome. That's very nostalgic for me.
Yeah. They actually have a pin line that comes out right now over in Disneyland, and it's like every other month, but it's a big pin. It's like probably almost 2 inches in diagonal. But it's basically, it's the case, and it opens up, and it's got the movie in it. Yeah, and they sell out within an hour.
Super fast. Wow. Yeah. Really weird. I remember watching the movies when I was a kid, and as I would watch the movie, I would chew on the case, which drove my parents nuts.
I think I did the exact same thing. I'm not even kidding. What is wrong with us?
I know, that's kind of weird. I'd be super upset with my kid nowadays.
Dude, I legit did that same thing.
I very distinctly remember doing that. But yeah, the Disney movies, Disney's just so huge in everything now.
Oh, their toes are in everything. Yeah. Talking about
Infinity Stones, dude. They collected them all.
Yeah, they've collected all the
Infinity Stones. Just about.
Yeah, those are, shoot. And they just keep coming up with great stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you would expect something that's been around for that long, to have hiccups. And, not all their movies have been as good as the others, but they're just continuously.
It's cool that there's different ages, too, to Disney. I know, there's the old age, I forget what it's called, the golden age is in the 90s, right? That was Little Mermaid,
Aladdin, Lion King, all of that. So I don't, off the top of my head, I can't fully remember them. It's also that age is also referred to as the Renaissance.
Yeah. The Renaissance.
Then there's the classic age.
The 80s age.
There's the rebirth, I believe.
Yeah, because the 80s age they had kind of a drop off. It was like the Robin Hood movie.
Yeah, there was a time their studio wasn't doing as well. It was right kind of before the Cinderella. So Cinderella was kind of the movie that had brought them into the the 90s and all of that. But yeah, they were basically doing a lot of movies with just reused footage. So you can notice Robin Hood, Bambi. There's 3 or 4 movies where there's identical scenes that are just redrawn.
Yeah, I remember there was a Robin Hood scene that they literally did the same exact dance as Snow White.
And the Jungle Book as well, yeah.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can do a quick YouTube search of this. Just search Disney reused animation, and you'll just find hours of video where it's just redrawn over, but it's the exact same animation sequence.
You wouldn't notice it watching it, but back to back, it's uncanny how.
Oh, it's the exact same.
That's killer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But even all the stuff that they started, we talk about how old Lucasfilms was. Disney made literally the first full-length animated movie.
That's true.
So any animated movie that you've loved, they started that.
Yeah.
First colored cartoon, first cartoon with sound, Steamboat Willie.
That's true.
That's so nuts to think about. Yeah, Disney's just been around for so long. They've done so much, and it's crazy how big they are. Yeah, still so relevant. That's unreal. They have the parks, of course.
Yeah, and they were the first real theme park. Well, they weren't the first attraction park. They were the first one to do a themed park.
Yeah, just killer. Walt, your dog's named after Walt.
Yeah, that he is. Yeah. You guys can usually hear him in just about every episode. Whimpering or hopping on our lap at some point.
So look at that. Disney's impacting every episode.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else turned me into a nerd? Oh, I know, a huge one. Another thing that all of us love. Lord of the Rings.
This is a good one.
Rohirrim! Like,
We formed the line.
Those movies are so good. Like, to hold up to this day, if you go back and watch
absolutely.
every single Lord of the Rings extended edition and all, they hold up more than movies I'd say nowadays.
Yeah. Well, this is the same thing with Jurassic Park. How Jurassic Park, basically special effects still hold up because it was all done by hand.
Practical.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of practical
and
effects.
there was just, it took, you know how like movies nowadays, they're on like a time, like, I'm pretty sure like the new Endgame Infinity Wars is probably like, took them, they had like a deadline of like, you could have the year to make this or something like that. Whereas the Lord of the Rings, I'm pretty sure they worked on every movie like for 3 years.
They worked on them back to back to back.
Yeah.
For a long time. I don't know exactly how long it took, but yeah, they filmed all
there was
three.
Like a lot of care and thought that was put into everything.
Yeah.
Costumes.
That's why there was so much hype behind Avatar, the James Cameron movies, because they were supposed to have filmed back to back to back, and they did just film the second and third ones back to back, and there was supposed to be a fourth one too.
There's supposed to be 5.
Yeah, there's supposed to be 5. They were going to film the fourth one too, but then they stopped it after the second and third.
They better be good.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that was such a big hit, and they were like kind of flopped on, basically doing a sequel. You know, a lot of studios. That's what they're like. All right, we got the money. Let's bang
just
out.
Pump
the
it
sequel.
out now. Yeah. So it's nuts that it's been so long, but yeah, Lord of the Rings was really cool the way they filmed.
You know what's a funny story about that is the J.R. Tolkien, when he was still alive, he knew it was probably eventually going to be turned into a movie. So he met Christopher Lee, the actor of Saruman, the White Wizard, and he said, "You're playing Gandalf when the movie is coming out. You get my blessing. No one else can do it." But then when the movies came out, he auditioned for it, but then he realized he wasn't good for the role.
Mm-hmm.
Like he thought Ian McKellen was a better
which is like he's iconic.
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, Gandalf, Ian McKellen.
But even
Gandalf.
He was good as Saruman. Like, Chris
he's killer.
Saruman. But it was just funny. Like he met the original guy, and he even was like, "I needed to step away from that."
Yeah, it's cool. It's a very humble thing to do. It's very neat, and I mean the movies turned out so well.
Oh yeah, and that's another one where there's so much lore in it with all the different books.
The Silmarillion.
I have the Silmarillion waiting to be read. I'll probably read it here on my honeymoon.
Yeah, there's so much cool little information you read in the Silmarillion.
Yeah, and even the stuff that you don't get out of the movies.
Yeah, there's just so much. It's so rich, and I mean even before Lord of the Rings, there was The Hobbit, and I'm sure we all watched the Hobbit cartoon growing up. Do you guys remember?
I actually didn't watch it growing up, but I have gone back.
But there was a video game that was for the PlayStation 1 or 2 that I played through. And
it was the PlayStation 2. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, we mentioned it last episode how I loved I read The Hobbit in 2nd grade, which is way too young. But then, so the reason I wanted to read it was because there's an old animated cartoon of The Hobbit. Probably came out mid-90s, I would want to say. But yeah, I watched it all the time when I was younger, and that's really what kickstarted me into the whole fantasy setting and all that. And I remember Lord of the Rings was just there was so much hype.
Dude, there's so
around
much hype in the movies too.
Yeah, the movies there's a lot of hype.
So I remember the first time watching The Lord of the Rings, and I was really young. It was right after the first one came out. And I remember not having a clue what happened or what was going on. But the only scenes I specifically remember are when oh my gosh, I feel so bad for not remembering the location. But when they're in the forest with the elves in the first one.
Which one?
Not Rivendell, not Mirkwood. The female elf, the female high elf. I can't think of what her name is.
Oh, her name.
Yeah, but like her part of the
setting,
forest,
the location.
Yeah, that's the only part of the movie that I remember seeing for the very first time I watched it.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I remember the Boromir scene.
Yeah, I distinctly remember that.
Arrows. I remember I got confused because they looked the same. Like Boromir, Aragorn.
Yeah, it was very confusing as a kid.
So my dad thought that they were actually brothers, so he just told me, yeah, they're all brothers. That's why he's so upset that, Boromir's dead right now. But then I watched it again, like, no,
they're not brothers.
Everyone's brothers. All the pointy ears, brothers and sisters. The little guys, they're all twins.
I still think Battle of Helm's Deep, the Two Towers, that's one of the best battle scenes there is.
Oh, for sure.
In film history. like a big battle scene. I don't think anything has topped it since. Like,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones might. I
I was-
bet you Game of Thrones will.
I was just about to say, I just had this conversation with Byrne a couple days ago, or he was like, I was trying to get him to watch Game of Thrones. I was like, I promise you'd really like it. And he was like, oh, but I mean, everything, he'd seen a couple episodes, but it was all like the political stuff. I was like, well, the battle scenes are really well done. And he's like, oh, it can't be anything close to Lord of the Rings. I was like, I would agree with you, but I think Battle of the Bastards, I think that fight was it's one of the best, like, medieval.
That's very realistic.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
best
so realistic.
fight.
But it's still, like, there's so much, like, you feel suffocated, like,
Oh,
while you're
yeah.
watching. Like, it's just, you get so invested in it. But,
No.
yeah, there's, that is a good Battle of Helm's Deep is such a great fight. And
Yeah.
I remember kind of like the cultural phenomenon that it was, like, when Return of the King came out. You know, the third one, like, you know, was it going to live up to, you know, the hype and all that?
Dude, I went to go see Return of the King in theaters, and I remember when the end goes black, everyone stood up, because it was 3 hours by then.
Yeah.
So everyone stands up like, oh, finally, it's done. But then it would pop back in. Because you know, the ending, they fade out, fade in, fade out, fade in. And everyone would get up and go, ugh, get up. And then, no. By the end, people were just annoyed. But I loved it, how long it was. It was a satisfying ending.
Yeah, and so that's another reason I'm excited for Endgame, is because Endgame's supposed to be
Yeah,
around
long
3
movie.
hours.
That could be 24 hours long, and I'll be all for it.
Oh yeah, I think I'd be okay. I remember saying that when Infinity War, and I was like, oh, the next one better be 4 hours.
Dude, like every tweet I see, it's like it's gonna have a long run time. Like that better be 8 hours.
Yeah,
I want it to be a work day.
We talk about all these movies and stuff that have all this, like, books and stuff to help the world crafting, like with Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. But Marvel is, like, almost just as deep, and they've done it with nothing but their movies.
Yeah. They had like the comics to draw inspiration, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is crazy how they've made a cohesive story across the first. What is the end of? There's been phases, but do we know what the end of this is called? I don't know if they
are
have
we
a
in
proper
phase
term.
3 right now?
We're in,
Oh, you mean like the phase?
no, the actual, well, because obviously this is, well, what I'm trying to say is, like, this isn't like the end of this is like the end of the generation. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like if we're calling it an arc, you know, like the Avengers story is done with this movie, and we're moving into a new wave.
So we're going into like the new Avengers.
Yeah, kind of. Like, obviously, like, I think the older characters are going to take a backseat, and we'll do another episode about theories and everything about the Avengers.
Yeah.
But it is unbelievable to think of how well they've told a story over how many years, like how many arcs, how it all built towards,
Yeah.
you know, Thanos.
I definitely don't see it being an Avengers movie for a while. Another one after this one, because we're gonna have to build.
I don't know if there's
More
going to be another movie
stories.
called Avengers.
I would agree. I would have to agree.
Yeah, I really don't know. This is the end of phase 3.
Yeah.
Basically, after this movie, we move into phase 4.
Yeah, but obviously Phase 1, 2, and 3 were all part of, you know, one big story.
Yeah, and that is Thanos is the biggest villain in Marvel comics. One of the biggest, because like you have Galacticus. I don't see him being an endgame villain anytime soon, especially with Fantastic Four not being in the fray. So
Well,
it's definitely
he
gonna be
can
a while.
now. That's the thing.
He can. But I'm saying it's gonna
That's
be a
the
while.
timing. That's how unbelievable this timing with the Fox merger is.
Yeah.
They just unlocked so much material. I mean, Magneto alone could honestly be.
It's gonna be so interesting because they can't use the same Magneto backstory. Think about it. Early 2000s, you could pull off that Magneto was in the Holocaust, but nowadays, Holocaust survivor would probably be dead by now.
Okay, I see what you're
That's
saying.
So
kinda
they would
interesting,
need
though.
to have a more similar but tragic backstory a little bit.
They can.
They
do
just
something.
handle that
yeah.
mutants age slowly.
They could.
Yeah. Well, and they've done so many different spin-offs. Let's look at how they handled Vulture in the new movie. Obviously, not a Birdman, and I thought it was a great way to incorporate a character.
That was awesome. It was better than the actual Birdman.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton is the. I was like, I hope he comes back for
He's such a
future.
good
Well,
actor.
yeah, they have to do a Sinister Six storyline at some point. They're bringing in Mysterio.
Yeah.
Doc
Well,
Ock is gonna be.
Yeah.
And one thing too about Phase 4 that they had already said is after all these big collaborations and stuff, they're almost going back to square one, which we hit upon. It's gonna be a lot more individual character stories.
I remember them
It
saying
should
that
be.
a lot more contained.
Yeah,
Because-
and obviously we see they announced a Black Widow movie, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for it. I wish it came a couple years earlier, but I'm
Yeah.
still, super hyped for it.
I'm hoping it's kind of a in between flashback present day movie. Like we get some old.
It's definitely gonna be in the past. It won't be present, I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, I could be
some,
wrong.
Never know. It could be
Yeah.
one of those like something that like basically what Mason was talking about, something that happened in the past catching up to you.
Yeah,
type
so
of
they
deal.
kind of show two things like flashbacks. And
That would be
everything.
kind of cool. Goes back and forth.
Yeah, Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Well, yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, one of my favorite parts about all the Marvel movies is how, there's different, they're all superhero movies, but there's like different genres. Like Ant-Man is kind of like a heist movie. Winter Soldier was a cool throwback to like spy espionage movies.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, like a space opera. It's so cool how it's easy for the general fan to just be like, oh yeah, I don't want to see another superhero movie. And a lot of people don't go watch the Marvel movies because they're like, I'm sick of superhero movies.
Which
But,
is fair.
Yeah,
There's
it is
been a
completely
lot.
fair. There's
Oh yeah.
almost an oversaturation. And we kind of see it with the effect with DC, trying to make all their movies that they are now. Probably a big reason that keeps people coming back to the Marvel movies is that, it's all been linked. They all care about it.
Yeah.
And now DC's finding out how hard it is to pull that off because now you have to invest a whole wave of fans to become, interested in your story. You have to get them to care, which is not easy.
Because DC has some good movies. Like Wonder Woman, I would say, is a good movie.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's good. It was a little long, I thought, but it was good.
And I would say Aquaman.
I hear Aquaman's great.
I
Honestly,
thought
haven't
it was a
watched.
great movie.
I haven't had the
I thought
chance
it
to
was a
check it
great
out
movie.
yet. Yeah,
I have one little gripe with it is it had a Pitbull song at a weird moment that I would not have had a Pitbull song at.
that's really interesting. I love Jason Momoa. I think he's the
Dude,
coolest
he
guy.
was the best. He was the best in that movie, dude. He was Aquaman to T. It was awesome.
He was the only reason I almost went and saw Justice League because he was in it, and I was like, oh man.
Justice League was
And then Ben Affleck. I like Ben Affleck a lot too, and
He gave up the Batman.
yeah.
role.
See, that's another thing. Like,
I think he was a fine Batman.
yeah, it's hard. DC just they're trying to play catch up, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. It's just hard to jump on to 10 years of world building.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy. And it goes to show how well Marvel pulled
Yeah.
off.
And like the expectation that's there now is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so high.
Well, Marvel did have a rocky start, like the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
I'm
they
not,
definitely had-
no, Sonny, I'm just bringing it up.
No, yeah, no,
Oh,
I agree.
yeah,
that,
for sure.
that barely is canon. Like they mentioned that he went on a rampage in the Bronx. And
Yeah.
that was about it.
Yeah, no,
Imagine how different it'd be with Ed Norton as.
he was supposed to be in the first Avengers.
Yeah, he was gonna
Yeah.
be Hulk.
Yeah.
It
And
would have been
then
interesting.
there's all kinds of disputes over contract, and then we got Mark Ruffalo, who's amazing.
Amazing,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a great Bruce Banner.
For
Which-
sure.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I definitely like the Hulk design of the new Hulk a lot too. The Ed Norton Hulk looked very cartoony. If you go back and watch it, it was very like ripped and it was menacing though. But I like the new Hulk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing that was so groundbreaking with the new Hulk was, everyone was freaking out over how much the Hulk actually looked like Mark Ruffalo, like his face.
yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
a big deal when they got the technology to do that. People were geeking out over that. Like that was really cool. Like the scene in the Avengers when Mark Ruffalo's talking to them and he turns into the Hulk and punches the big
Flying
Leviathan looking thing. And like that was a sweet scene. And then to see the slow transition from Mark Ruffalo to the Hulk, like it looked killer.
Oh yeah.
And it's even come farther. I mean, we saw it in Infinity War last year when he's arguing with himself and the Hulk's like answering and stuff and their faces are going back and forth. It's just killer. It's cool. Yeah, we definitely were born at the perfect time to really get
yeah.
caught up in the wave that is, nerd culture.
Yeah, that's my hot take too. I wouldn't even exactly call myself a nerd. I like all of these things, but I just don't identify as that. You know
So
what I mean?
what do you think is a nerd?
What do I think is a nerd?
Yeah,
Someone
if
that
you're not a
identifies as
nerd.
a nerd.
So you think it's an identification thing?
It's kind of like that. I think you may have been labeled that. I was never labeled that. I had all these hobbies, but I never was called that.
Yeah. Oh,
And I don't call myself that.
I
There's
don't think
nothing wrong with being a nerd.
I don't think anyone's ever called
Or,
me a nerd.
identify as a nerd.
Yeah. But it's an interesting
I think these are a bunch of genres that I like and just things that I like.
dude, I think
It's
that makes you a
definitely-
nerd.
You call me that. I don't want you to buy one.
I mean, it's definitely hard with kind of what's pop culture, what's niched culture, and all that nowadays.
Well, it's definitely getting popularized.
Yeah.
This kind of culture is definitely things that you gotten made fun of for liking Star Wars back in the day. Now everyone watches it, you know what I mean?
Yet, when the movies came out, they were a huge hit.
Yeah.
Like, everyone liked it.
Yeah. I think it's funny, you used to hear there's the popular phrase like, oh yeah, he's a man's man, like, oh, plays sports, like strong, like, I'm a nerd. I play D&D, I watch anime, I love video games. Like, if something's nerdy, there's a good chance that I like it or have watched or played it at some point. And so that's just, it's cool. There's so much for us to consume entertainment wise.
Oh yeah.
And it's been awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think honestly, like, unless you guys have anything else to add, I think we did a good job, recapping, what got us into being
I can't
nerds.
even think of anything like that we missed. Kind of. There's probably
I'm
not
sure
we
there's
missed,
plenty
but like
that
we
we
hit like
missed,
most of the
but-
popular from the 90s to 2000s.
Yeah, well, the point of this was what turned us into a nerd. Like,
Yeah.
there's, all kinds. I can go on and on about all
Oh, yeah.
kinds of different games. Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Fire Emblem, different movie genres that we didn't even get to touch on. Like, so much of this stuff, like, whether we realize it or not, all these little things, pushed us towards the interest that we have now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's killer. I think that kind of wraps it all up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Pretty Much Anything Nerdy. We're excited for more episodes down the road. I say that every week, but it just goes to show how much fun we have recording this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
If you have any ideas for an episode, please, please, please shoot us an email at prettymuchanythingnerdy@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter. Please follow us. We're PMAN Podcast. We'd love to interact with you guys. Please comment, interact with us, shoot us DMs for episode ideas. We'd love to, go over stuff that you guys care about. Episode 5 of Pretty Much Anything Nerdy is being recorded on March 5th, 2019. Music is BitQuest by Kevin MacLeod.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.